can leave that. We don't need that till tonight.
Okay, Mark.
I don't think.
Good evening. This is the Thursday, January 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Capital Improvements Planning Committee. We are located currently in the Public Safety Complex on Pleasant Street. There is also a Zoom link with some members and hopefully other guests joining us. We have a committee of 7. By my count, we have 5, at least 5. 4 is a quorum, so I declare we have a quorum and the meeting is officially opened. If our guest, who we'll introduce in a minute, can bear with us, can we take a minute and review the CIPC meeting minutes of January 16th, 2025, which you have all been sent. Some successfully opened them and some did not, which is a topic for another time. But those that have, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye. I believe you need a roll call, because Heather,
Yeah, we do. We do need a roll call. So Heather, we'll start with you. Heather?
Yes.
Kateri on the Zoom meeting, but she has to abstain anyways because she was absent.
I don't see her, Mark.
Okay. Forrest?
yes.
David?
Yes.
Neil?
Yes.
Mark votes yes.
Okay.
Any abstentions? None? The meeting minutes are approved as submitted. Thank you. So this evening, we have 3 entities / organizations that are going to present. I don't know who won the coin toss, but I think the maybe courteous thing to do would be to have the representatives from Wachusett Regional School District. Jim, if you're ready to go first. And if you don't mind, if you could introduce who's with you this evening, and we'll go around the table here and introduce our committee membership as well.
That'd be great. And so thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you about the capital needs, specifically at Paxton Center School. I'm here, Jim Riley, the superintendent of Wachusett Schools. I'm accompanied by Mark Wild, who's our facilities director, and then also here is Scott Runstrom, who's the chair of the school committee.
So our committee members are Town Administrator Heather Monroe, who I know you know well, Vice Chair
Neil Bagdis.
Mark Love,
Dave Bloom. And Forrest Smith.
Nice to meet you.
and 2 members are not with us at the moment, Bill Trotter and Kateri Klug. So with that, we've received your materials. I understand there may be others that you're going to present, but at least the essence of the asks that you're making, I think a footnote to be made is that by my count, there were 4 of them. 2 relate to FY '26, 1 FY '28, and 1 FY '29, at least on the documents. If that changes in your presentation, then it's your presentation, you have the floor, so go right ahead, Jim.
Thank you. I just for a moment asked for a request to be able to share a presentation. If I'm not able to do so, I'm happy to walk through it,
Yep.
if that's okay.
Okay?
You should be all set.
Okay, thank you. I
That's fair.
apologize. I can maybe just speak through it if it's okay and supply them to the committee later.
What's that?
No, I said, that's fine with me.
Yeah, right. I apologize for that. I'm not sure why it's not able to.
Do you want to try one more time? We'll see if we can get it to work. Do you want to try the share button once more?
Sure, Heather, I'm
Maybe
happy
we'll
to.
send out.
Yep.
You are eating into DPW's presentation time, Jim.
Just take your time.
Oh, and the library, sorry.
I apologize.
That's all right.
Heather, I was trying to, it's not a document, it's a PowerPoint, and so I'm not sure why sorry, we're Google more than,
Heather, can you call up the Form Bs that were submitted? Because
I can do that.
I think that would be a good talking point.
On the share, did you want to try that one more time on that share arrow? If you're clicking that, will it let you take up? You're in.
There we go.
okay. Okay. Let me, thank you, Heather. That's not it. Here we go. Thank you very much, Heather. Now, this better be the best presentation any of you have ever had, I guess. So, I just want to scroll back to the beginning. So, thank you for allowing me to come and speak with you. And obviously, it was a beautiful picture of Paxton. But one of the things I just wanted to note is that for us in the school department, we really have been trying to concentrate on our facilities. I think by our own admission, maintenance wasn't done as often as possibly it should have had, and we weren't tracking projects as closely as we should have. And so to the school committee's credit, when I started, this is the beginning or middle of my third year, our safety and facilities subcommittee had started a practice where we actually go and walk through our schools every year. And this year, we did our review of the Paxton Center School in November on the 25th. Some of the items that had come to the forefront that we're going to be speaking about today, one had been on the capital improvement plan previously, which is fire separation from the senior center. The other one that's been more recent is the replacement of our boiler systems, and then finally looking at our phone intercom clock system. However, I'll note this a little bit later, we actually replaced the phone system part of that request, so that's already been completed. A couple things, and one of them is I'm embarrassed because when I was asked to introduce everybody here, I neglected our interim principal, Katie Myville, so I apologize, Katie. But she's here, and she's actually done a wonderful job this year at the school, and she joined us as well when we walked around the school. I think not only have we been trying to be more up to date in understanding of what needs to be done to keep Paxton Center School, a vibrant, safe building for the students that reside in it, we also are trying to make sure we are making investments and making sure the building continues to operate the way it really needs to. The first thing I just want to say tonight, because I'd be remiss not to mention it, is Paxton really set the stage for a lot of the security improvements that we've made throughout the district. And so in the summer when I started that August, there was a special town meeting. I'm not sure if it was July or August, but Paxton actually voted to make security improvements at the school. That was the first school that made security improvements in the district, and since that time, all towns have followed suits. We haven't installed the systems yet in Holden, but they were approved financially, so I always have a special thought when I think about Paxton. That was really special that they had the town meeting, that they were focused on security, and they really set the template for the remainder of our schools in the district. So I just want to acknowledge that. And that was on the town side. And I think what I want to talk to you a little bit about tonight, just to kind of set some context in terms of what we're asking for, is the work the district has done. And so in the past 2 fiscal years, the district has expended over $400,000 in Paxton Center School. All of these projects have been district funded. They have primarily been focused on kitchen and cafeteria improvements, plumbing and heating infrastructure, and then also an installation of a new phone system. And so just to break those down a little bit, we spent over $293,000 on the kitchen at the school. That included a hood system that we originally had presented to this committee for an FY24 recommended project, but we had said at that time that we thought we might be able to finance it through our school lunch program revolving account, and we were able to do so. That was about a $90,000 project. We've also added a new conveyor dishwasher there, a stainless steel serving line, 2 convection ovens, a 40-gallon kettle. We've resurfaced the kitchen floor. We've added a steamer unit, and we've added shelving. This year, thus far, we've added a milk cooler, bought a floor machine, and have added refrigerated monitors. We've also focused, and this kind of leads into a little bit of the boiler request, plumbing and HVAC infrastructure of over $100,000 in the past 2 fiscal years, $57,000 plus last year, and over $46,000 this year. Those projects have included a new 3-way valve, pump rebuilds, pneumatic repairs and upgrades, and a boiler section replacement. Not included in the above was additional $11,000 or $11,000 plus that we also put towards infrastructure. And then we believe it was FY22, we added a remote monitoring system to the heating system. And then finally this year, we took one of the projects that was on the capital improvement plan. The school was experiencing failures, so we accelerated the phone replacement system, and we did that for about $17,000. I share that just because I want to demonstrate we really are trying, whenever we can, make investments in the school and investments that are appropriate under our purview. We try to do so. And I will share that the kitchen improvements we've made throughout the district, some more, some less than the ones we've made at Paxton, but really when you look at the HVAC and plumbing that we've put into the school of over $100,000, that's pretty much exclusive to Paxton, and it speaks a little bit to the condition of the system right now. We feel like the system is ready now for new boilers, but it really is at a critical point because the boilers at this point, we're really unable to repair them. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that, and that's really our priority project at this point. And I'll be honest with you, if you looked at our capital improvement plan as recently as 2 years ago, that wasn't a priority project for us. I think originally we had it staked in FY30, and then I think we had moved it up. The reason why it's kind of a critical need for the district at this time is the fact that first, its estimated lifespan, both boilers were put in 1997. Estimated lifespan is about 15 years, and so we've more than gotten our money's worth out of the system. We've always tried to just keep them operating, and so if there wasn't a need to advocate for replacement, we haven't done so. Mark really does an outstanding job in the district, and as always, made boiler maintenance and our HVAC systems a priority. Both him and Craig Wojcik, who worked for the district, every summer would look at the systems, do any maintenance that they needed to. They removed algae in tanks. They took them apart and cleaned whatever they could. But that started to get more difficult. And so in the spring of '23, we had a cracked boiler section. And when they went to do the typical summer maintenance, it couldn't be fixed. And so they had to order a part. And they ordered that part in the summer of 2023. We didn't receive that part until this past fall. And so effectively, the school was operating on one boiler. And the reason why that's so serious is if you have one of the boilers fail and you don't have a backup, we're not going to be able to hold school. And with the units being so old, it's really kind of reached the point of a crisis. And we don't feel like if there was a major issue with one of the boilers again, we don't think the timeline would be any better than it was. And I think, and Mark can speak to this far better than I can, but the parts actually have to be created. They have to be manufactured at this point. They're obsolete. And so really the opportunity to continue to use the 2 boilers, we're really rolling the dice if we don't find some way to expedite their replacement. And so that's really the true reason why we've advanced this particular project.
Jim, is it possible to ask a question? Now, I don't want to interrupt your presentation, but one of the slides up on the board right now may be apropos.
Yep.
when I see 67,600 each. Obviously for the total that's shown, 135. And what originally got submitted to us likely was an estimate. It was 144. So I like 67.6 better than 144.
I could speak to that, Mark.
Let me just go a step further. My understanding is there's two boilers, and a lot of money's been spent on one of them refurbishing it such that it could be the backup boiler, and this would be the main boiler, but the second boiler, because this one can't be repaired quite as costly. Is that right? So we're looking at one boiler?
Mark can speak to it a little bit. I believe, and I could be wrong, Mr. Love, but I think both boilers are the same age. And so the issue with replacing parts or needing to rebuild obsolete parts would be both for both of them. Right now, to share, both are operational. And so right now, we have both online. But Mark can talk a little bit more to answer your question.
Yes. I'll just jump in real quick.
Can you go to the mic?
Or take the microphone in your hand.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, when we first had that boiler fill about a year and a half ago, it was in the spring, and we shut it down, took it out of service, and ran into the summer where we'd be opening them up for our regular service. That's when we realized at that point it wasn't fixable. And so we assumed we would be able to get parts within 3 months. 3 months became 6 months, we were told 9 months, et cetera. They had to be forged. So we had to wait until, we were at their beck and whatever to get it done. So that being said, that boiler finally did get its parts back, and it is somewhat rebuilt with a new boiler section. It doesn't mean that the other boiler sections could go at any time, all right? If I was a betting man, I would rather put my money into the boiler that we put all the parts into if you were looking to break this into two pieces. The original and what we are asking for is 144. The reason why it was broke out like that is when I asked N&T to supply a quote for a new boiler, they supplied me with that one quote right there. So that quote would be double for the two boilers that are in need of replacing.
Okay. So the ask is for the 144,
Yes,
technically?
that is the ask, correct. To back up your question on spacing them out, I would roll the dice and take the boiler that we've put the most recent repairs into with the newest section and tend to use that towards our backup. Now, weather like this, it requires both boilers to heat the school. So we struggled last year through the winter, and we didn't have a lot of real breaks like this last year.
So if they were phased out, would one be this year and one next year, or one this year and one
That would be
3
your
years from
decision.
now?
That would be your decision. We are here with a need for both boilers, and we're just making the town aware of both boilers that need to be replaced. They have similar wear. They're both from the same year, 97, when the last edition was done at the school.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask
I got a question.
follow-up? First of all, in full disclosure, I did have a tour of the school today with Mr. Wild, and I saw firsthand the situation that we're looking at. But I wanted to follow up with the fire chief. He and I had a conversation yesterday on a different matter. Did mention that the boilers were coming into play this evening, but you had, Mike, you had given some comment about CO calls. Could you just kind of enlighten us as to where we are?
Yeah, so with can everybody
You're
hear
on.
me? I got a good echo, so. So in the past with these boilers, and Mark can probably attest, and Jim, I think it was probably a little before you got there, we've had numerous issues with the exhaust and everything in the boilers coming back and not burning as efficiently. Part of it was due to the biofuel issue.
Correct.
And then everybody knows once that gets into the system, into the boiler and the combustion chamber, it wreaks havoc on the boiler itself, probably causing some of these issues. But we're looking 97, we are almost 30 years old on these. Your household boilers are 20 to 25 year lifespan. And these run all the time. So they're a lot like the boilers up here in the public safety complex. There's two, and they run concurrent of one another to put out the BTU load and also conserve a bit of fuel instead of just relying on one doing the constant work. So,
Okay, but, so CO has kind of resolved itself now?
there's at no point did we ever have a CO reading in the school, but it was more of an exhaust smell. The exhaust was coming back in
Okay.
because the boilers were burning bad. at
I
the
could
time.
speak a little bit to that too, Mike. Neil, the last couple of years, we've taken upon ourselves to do a summer cleaning of the tank. All right, algae's building up in the tank, and that's what's creating the flame out, where we're getting the puffbacks and that CO and everything. So we've been proactive. We've been spending money every year in Paxton, and I have one other school where I have the same problem of the 12 buildings that we maintain with algae, with the new biofuels. We're kind of locked in. We're in a consortium with our fuel. We buy with 20 other districts, so we're locked into what everybody votes, the majority votes on buying every year. Is it the fuel I recommend? No. All right, but it's the fuel that everybody seems to be switching over. We do have a lot more problems running that fuel, especially with the older equipment that's approaching 30 years, like Mike said. And the commercial stuff really only is, last 15 to last 20. It's really, really tough. And these are on 25, 26 years. You can see how they're just starting to break down and fail.
Okay, so the new boilers that you're proposing, looking at what you just handed out here, the Burnham, are they more accepting of biofuels versus what we have now?
Yeah, they're an 85% efficiency boiler.
Right.
All right, they've got a 10-year warranty. The lifespan is 15-plus years on those, which I believe would have been the similar lifespan on the boilers that were put in '97. But yes, they're more modern appliance, so to speak.
All right, and are we using water or steam?
We're using water.
Forced water, okay.
What, do you know?
David?
You know what the efficiency of the boilers are that are there now?
I do not know that. I believe the new boilers are 85%.
Yeah. Okay.
It's stated in that. It should be in that.
It-
No,
Yeah, it's on the front page.
see that. Yeah. So
I would highly say it would be an.
you're probably going to need an operational cost improvement.
Oh, absolutely. Paxton, by the way, is the most expensive school to heat in the district.
Yeah.
It has always been. Yep.
Okay.
Of course it is.
Yeah, I installed one of these in my house in New Jersey
Yep.
years ago, and huge difference on the heating bill.
Right. Yep.
So,
Yeah, we're hoping to catch Paxton up with the heating bill.
Okay. So, I guess back to the original question. We're looking at one, or we're looking at two? I see the ask for two, but if,
I would prefer two.
okay,
I like I say, it's your call.
all right,
We're in need of two, correct.
okay.
So to piggyback, what's the $20,000 for circulation pumps?
The circulating pumps have been rebuilt, all right, the last couple of years. I just rebuilt one this past summer, so we feel we can buy some time with the circulating pumps. We've been rebuilding them. Down the road, if we wanted to tack it on, it'd be about, well, you have a quote probably over there. I haven't seen what you're looking at, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it says 144 for the boilers and 20,000 for
Yeah.
circulation pumps.
That I kind of got a new feel that they're about 30,000. There's two pumps there. That isn't included in what we were looking at because I had just done the maintenance on rebuilding the two pumps recently since that went out.
Is there a cycle of rebuild? Like, if you rebuilt them
Yeah.
now, would they be good for 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, or?
Yeah, what we do is, unfortunately, we're still playing catch-up a little bit. So as they break, start to fail, we rebuild the equipment. We'd like to get ahead of it.
Okay.
Well, our most recent quote is the separate one, and that's why there's a difference in the two prices between the 144 and I think the 67.5 for the. Oh, did I add them wrong? Oh, sorry. Not having a good day.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we also just wanted to add a couple of projects of note that are also on the capital improvement plan, just so they remain on people's radar. One is the fire separation from the senior center, I think it's well known that there's concern of the proximity of both the senior center and the school, and that if there is an event at either, it would place the occupants of either building at risk. Right now, Paxton Center School is one of two school buildings in the district that is not sprinkled, the other being Thomas Prince in Princeton. We keep these projects on our capital improvement plan. Certainly acknowledge that people know more about this than we do, but, as superintendent, I think as director of facilities, we wouldn't feel comfortable, God forbid, if there was ever a tragedy, that we didn't keep these types of projects on people's radar. We'll talk a little bit. I know it sounds like there's been some creative thinking about potential solutions to that, but we just did want to continue to make that known. I think that's been a concern of parents and certainly the fire department at times, and we understand why. The other thing we just want, we would say is a priority project moving ahead, not necessarily next year, is an intercom clock system. That was originally included the telephones, but the district paid for that component of the project. Really, the big thing about that is having consistency and having people aware, regardless of where they are in the building, if there is an emergency or something that needs to happen. And then also, again, with clocks, it's just important. It sounds like a little thing, but it is actually a big deal to have everything synchronized throughout the school. And so we just wanted to make sure that those projects we gave you a little bit of background on. We're happy to answer more questions if people have them. I think kind of related to that, and then also to some of the questions around the heating systems. We are consistently looking for other means to support the town for some of these major projects. And, I attended a webinar most recently, a Mass Building Authority earlier this week. They've changed their approach. Typically, I'd say to you, hey, we should see if we can get these boilers paid through that program, and you'd have a fairly high reimbursement on those projects. They've changed their approach. They are no longer supporting boiler systems using fossil fuels. And so right now, the only option with MSBA is heat pumps. And the heat pumps have certain requirements of it, including the envelope that at this time, based on our analysis, we would not meet. And then the minimum on those projects right now are, I think, $250,000, $250,000. And so do want to make people aware that we are looking at that. We will continue to try to do that. I think that potentially could be an option next time the district looks to replace, because they're also adding in projects where you can replace the roof and the heating system. Right now, based on the age of the roof, I don't think that would be something that we would qualify for at Paxton Center School. But I always want to mention those things, and then just also let the town know we are looking whenever those major projects come up to see if we will qualify for some of those programs. And then the other one, and Mark can mention this, I guess it was brought to his attention today, that there's a possible solution for the fire separation. They're going to be talking to one of the local stores. I don't want
Before we change subject, follow up on the heating system. As Mr. Love mentioned, the boilers are on here, but the replacement of the circulator pumps are also on here. Now,
I don't have a recent quote on that.
no, but here's, we had a discussion earlier today, you and I. According to the Wachusett Regional School agreement between the 5 towns, anything below a certain dollar threshold, and I think that number, if serves me correctly, it was $35,000. So for the circulators, is that something that could come out of the district expenses? But you bring it to us to say, yes, we want to do it, and then we allow you to, I guess, fund it through the regional budget? Am I missing something here? Is that something to do?
No, I think you could look at the project a couple ways. I think if we were in dire need and had not replaced the pumps, like we understand what we're asking from the town. And I think for us, with us having recently rebuilt the pump and system, we could certainly understand if the town exclusively wanted to support the replacement of the boilers. I think if the pumps were failing, we'd look at it as an entire project and say we're adding the pumps to the request for the boiler units.
Okay, so
I think we are comfortable, I think, at this point. with the pumps not being replaced at this time since we've rebuilt them. And to answer your question, yes, if they failed, that would become a district responsibility. When I talked before about the $100,000 and what we've done in infrastructure, it's because the majority of those projects were less than $35,000. And so it's just I think one of the reasons why we wanted to share some of the cost was we haven't had a lot of, we've had, even though they haven't been at the $35,000 threshold, they've been fairly substantial investments. All told, I think one year it was 49, the other year was over 50. So they're pretty major projects. They haven't reached the level of a town-owned district improvement project. But that's, if you asked us honestly, we'd be thrilled to get the boilers.
Okay, so it's fair to say then, if your request goes forward and we look at the 2 boilers, say that's a go, and if something happened next year with the circulators, then they would be replaced or rebuilt again?
Well, let me answer that a little bit. It looks like we've kind of like split hairs a little bit with what we've given you, and the reason why we've kind of jumped into the circulating pumps was by need, by necessity.
Okay.
We couldn't wait any longer. One of them blew, and we had to have that one rebuilt, and the other one started leaking this summer. So we've rebuilt both those pumps. We feel we've bought some time, all right, with the new pumps. If it fell under a $35,000 threshold, absolutely, we would have to pick up the district expense. The other thing, too, that we were questioning was the phones, intercoms, and PA system, bell system, I mean. The reason why we had to jump into that also, we had to grab a piece of the phone, and our principal can attest to it. We were losing communication in the rooms, and we thought that a safety hazard as the phone system was starting to fail. We couldn't wait for that either, so we had to jump in and take a piece of that as well.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
That may help some of the confusion on the items that we've kind of attacked that we've asked for. That makes sense. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about the separation.
Right, right.
I think I suggest that we take our time with that a little bit. Today, I met with a gentleman from town who's on the Bay Path School Committee, Jeff, I can't remember his last.
Wenzel.
Yeah, Wenzel, yeah, and another man from Bay Path, and went over the project, what we're trying to do. And they're looking into seeing if the students can take that on as a project, all right, moving forward. And that would be a huge savings to the town if we got something like that. It would also involve our own students that go to Bay Path and be something collaborative we could all do that involves education, et cetera, and would be a win-win for everybody. So I think right now, at the moment, the best thing to do is wait for Bay Path's crew to get back to us on that and see if they'd like to pursue that as a project in the future. It's been 70 years. Mike, I don't know how you feel about it. And I'm not speaking for you at all, Mike. I know it is a concern. I would ask for your input on that, I guess, at this time.
I'm good at this point. You're right. It's been 70 years without separating those. I mean, I would love it if Bay Path had a sprinkler fitter program.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, that would be great, because it really, honestly, that would be the way to go, is to sprinkler both the white building and the school. But where that's very cost prohibitive at this point in juncture, I know we had one meeting almost 2 years ago, Mark. We had an engineer there.
Right.
And that was the last that I kind of saw of it until tonight. But yeah, there's a way we either separate it one way by physically removing that portion of corridor that connects the 2 buildings, or putting up a rated firewall. Now, theoretically, if the white building does burn, we're going to sustain damage at the school no matter what, just because of the proximity of it. That's why we hope that never ever happens. But yeah, I'm interested to see what Bay Path has to say.
Yeah, I am too. Some of the things that Bay Path was going to do, one of the things we talked about is we really shouldn't be going much further without some type of a plan or an engineering plan. And Bay Path said they also had somebody in-house that could handle that as well, a drafting department. So I was pretty excited about today's meeting, and the fact that we could do something collaborative with Bay Path students, the town, the district, and all for a good cause, and, save the town some money, too.
Yeah, can I just be the skunk at the lawn party? Because we're in favor of collaboration. We're certainly strong advocates of getting this done for all manner of safety reasons, but the number that was presented to us was $150,000, and that gave us a lot of pause. So I like what I'm hearing. I'm sure all the other members do as well. Let's work together. Let's reduce the price. Let's get it done. Let's make sure that the two buildings are safe one from the other. But I can't help but thinking we can do it for a lot less than $150,000. So good luck to everybody, and we look forward to you guys coming back to us with better news. But right now, we understand we're hitting the pause button on this particular item. Yep, perfect.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it for us, unless anybody has any further questions.
I just had one question. I think there was a slide. What was spent on the boiler, on the repair? How much did that cost?
20,
And so,
Which one, on the section?
Yeah.
All right, the section itself was 16,000. All right, that was a piece of that.
Yep.
You follow me on that?
Yep.
That's, the figures that we have are of the year, what we spent. Some of that work was on upgrading the pneumatics in the school, chasing leaks. We spent a lot of time chasing leaks and stuff like that.
The
So
pump-
that section was in the middle of that, yeah.
the
It was
pump
all
rebuilds are
included.
included in that money, the 2 fiscal years, where it came up to over 100,000, and then a new 3-way valve, which you're going to have to ask Mark what that means. I have no idea.
it's more than a two-way valve.
There you go. There you go.
I
Right?
showed you that today, Neil,
You
right?
did,
Yeah.
you did.
Well, if no further questions, Jim, Mark, Scott, Katie, thank you all very much, and we'll look forward to continuing this discussion and hopefully with some good news. Thank you.
We appreciate
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate your time and your support. My apologies again to the library and DPW, I believe, and our technological issues, but thank you for your time.
Travis, if you don't mind, I think the library is likely to be a whole lot shorter.
I would assume so. That's fine by me.
Yep, so Pam, you're up. Thank you.
17.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for having me here. I apologize I don't have my normal fancy slideshow. I didn't hear about this, that it was on the agenda until a few days ago.
Pam, just on the chance that I
Go for
can't
it.
believe that nobody would know who you are, but you want to introduce
Sure, I'm
yourself?
Pam Shinnerford. I'm the library director. I've been there since 2022, when I started identifying heating issues in the library. Just throw that in there. So what we're referring to tonight, I guess, is the capital request I submitted on 9/15/2023. So as you may know, the library suffered an heating emergency where the fire chief just decommissioned the boiler, if that's the right thing to say. And the library trustees funded in full from the trust fund $55,000 to replace the 2 boilers and the oil tank. This was a couple of winters ago. However, in that process, nobody identified that the HVAC controls should have also been part of it. Part of it, I think it was an oversight. It was an emergency. We were 2 weeks away from Christmas. It was pretty cold out. So it was later, I later identified it with somebody came in and looked at everything, and you see on the, if you have it, the capital improvement from 29/15/2023, it does give you all the information of what is broken in the library, which is causing inefficiency in the system. I've looked for grants. You know I love my grants. I recently replaced a water fountain for the patrons for $5,000 with a grant. Because we have an oil system, fossil fuels, there aren't grants for the HVAC controls. So here, after hearing the schools, and I know that Travis is coming up, in this original proposal, which is now a couple of years old, it was $17,196.02. We're going to figure out it's probably going to be closer to 20 or over at this point because of time and inflation. And all the library is asking for is an offset from capital of $5,000 to help the trustees help get this project finally done, so we can have use efficiency with our oil. The temperature stays consistent in the library, and we're not putting stress on the water circulators, which we have two also, and we've rebuilt them a number of times. Fortunately, knock on plastic over here, we haven't had to redo the circulators in a couple of years. Since I've been director, I've been lucky with the circulators. But the HVAC controls, there have been a number of valves are broken, the fans in the historic room are broken. The first person who came in and gave me a quote, I thought it was pretty reasonable. Heather did do an RFP after that, and the only quote we got was for $70,000, and we turned it down. We thought that was exorbitant. So at this time, I'm asking the trustees again to consider this, and Heather put me on the agenda for tonight, so I'm just asking for $5,000 to offset it. And part of that is because every year our budget gets tighter and tighter like everybody else's. This year, our maintenance budget from the town is $768. So the rest of the money, we have about $6,000 of maintenance is coming from our trust fund. So we're already using our trust fund to do our annual maintenance. That being said, we all know the principle of our trust can't be touched. And there is some, I think it's about $80,000 that is still in there that is spendable interest. However, the trustees would prefer to save most of that for an emergency because that's the only emergency fund we have for the building, which was proven out by the boiler system. Fortunately, we've replaced the gutters. The 2 tanks are good. The oil tank is good. Parts of the roof were fixed through insurance. So we're hoping for not emergencies. However, this should be fixed, and like I said, we're only going to ask for a $5,000 of the total, and we'll pay for the rest.
So, so Pam, if I could summarize the financial piece of
Sure.
this. The 17,196 is dated,
Yes,
so now it's more like 20.
I'm
And-
assuming, I haven't quoted it, but yes.
And the
I think.
library is going to use some of their trust fund money, and they're asking the town for $5,000.
Correct,
So that's the ask.
yes.
Okay.
No, the trustee haven't voted on this yet. We were starting to talk about it again, and this was put on my agenda, but I think this needs to get done, so this might help my cause. It's only going to be better for the town and the building, and there's maintenance that hasn't been done. I've really been trying to maintain that historic building for the patrons in the town of Paxton.
Question?
Yeah,
Please, yeah.
I have a question. This controller, it's for heat and air conditioning?
It's just for the heat.
Just for the heat, okay.
Well, sorry, I shouldn't say that. There's 2 air conditioning systems.
Yeah.
In the historic room, there's a midi split in the wall that's
Okay.
completely separate from everything, which is fine. Just has a little,
Okay, so it's just for the heat.
so the heat, but it does not include air conditioning, no.
Okay, so do you expect to get some efficiency out of this?
I do.
Okay.
Right now, my office is like a sauna.
Yep.
And the historic room is pretty cool.
Okay, so we'll
We're-
get some operating costs improvement here.
I would think so. Oil has been reasonable the past couple of years overall. However, I think it could be better.
Okay, just to follow up too, if the town comes up with the 5,000 ask,
Yes.
and the trustees don't approve your request for the other 15, do you go back and say, you're making me look bad because look what, I bet this $5,000 bone I can wave in front of you, we need to get this thing done? I mean, are you confident that it's going to go through?
I'm confident it has to go, it's going to go through, yes.
Okay.
Because if I get some money from the town and the trustees
Bach?
want to pay for part, then I will try to get a bank grant for another part of it.
Okay,
I feel like I could hit up, there are a couple of banks that I haven't hit up for a while, so.
okay. No, that's fine.
Yeah,
Just because it
yeah.
was a.
I think it would help me. It would help the library. It would
Sure.
help my cause. I've been trying to do this since I came on board as the library director, and this first quote you see has been sitting here.
Sure. But it is a 2-part ask right now. Your half and
Yeah.
the town's piece.
Yeah.
Your piece and the town's, okay. All right, I'm good.
I think there's a very fair ask for the longest of time that preceded you. Those special revenue trust funds were laying idle, and Finance Committee incented the library and the library trustees to use some of it, and now they've stepped to the plate seemingly on every occasion. So we're
yes.
glad we had that conversation,
They-
and
they did
we're
the-
glad that they
you.
stepped to the plate just as they're doing right now.
They did the elevator lift, they did the carpets, they redid the lights. We had them do the gutters.
So the message to them is that it has not gone unnoticed and
Okay,
unappreciated.
thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you for your time. Are there any other questions? I'm not a facilities manager, I'm trying to get things done, so.
No, you're
Doing a great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Any
you.
other
Yep.
questions?
No, I'm good.
Pam, thank you.
Thank you.
Travis? As you're walking up and getting ready, speaking of appreciated and not going unnoticed, this has been a tough week for DPW with the snowstorm and a water leak, I believe, on Wednesday that went into today, or Tuesday went into Wednesday, I'm not sure, but you've had a full week and have still committed to us and shown up, so we appreciate that very much.
I thank you very much. As Mark said, Travis Tebow, I'm the DPW
All right,
Director
can I
here in
hold on
town.
one second. Heather just got disconnected. She just texted me. So she's not here, so do you want to wait, or do you want to just continue and she can join when she's good?
We still have a quorum, so I'm going to ask that we continue
All right,
and ask her to log back on.
okay. Good, thank you.
Travis,
Chief,
go
can I
ahead.
get on this board? I can pull up my presentation through here.
Yeah, I'm not sure, that's a little more technical. Because I know they have the Zoom running on the,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we'll see if Heather comes back on. If she does, we were able to put together a PowerPoint presentation for you.
Okay.
Oh, I apologize if we can't get it up and running at the moment. It was sent to Heather. Heather asked that we send it to her so that she could run through it. She wanted to control the PowerPoint.
All right.
My apologies.
No, that's quite all right.
So we've had a couple of items on the docket with you folks for a few years now. I'm going to start with the 1989 RD Mac that we've been trying to get replaced for several years. We had submitted to you folks a few years ago, and frankly, I didn't get an updated quote. I know funding is extremely tight, so I'm still utilizing the paperwork. The numbers for the paperwork that we was submitted to you were the quotes that we received last year. So just to give you a little bit of background information, again, this is a 1989 truck. The truck
I think
currently,
it looks like Heather's in the waiting room, so we have to admit her.
How do we admit her?
You try and touch the screen, maybe.
Where do you want me to?
I think it,
Where it says admit,
yeah.
up top, right there.
Right here?
No, it's inside and the computer where Scott is. Oh. Just have Scott, I think,
Tell,
should be able to-
it's,
Oh, Scott.
Scott.
Got a letter in.
maybe. Unless it's Heather's computer.
yeah. She's back.
She's back.
Heather, I had sent you over a PowerPoint. Is there any chance you can pull that up?
Yes, just give me a second, Travis.
Chief, power for this screen so that I can see what's on the board?
No, when she hosts it, you can't see that. Yeah.
Okey dokey.
Next time, let me know in advance.
Sure.
I'll set you up in the right.
All right.
Here we go.
Um,
If you
Mind
want.
if I step out
No,
front
but
with
if
the
you
microphone?
want, you want to, you can sit over
Grab-
here just to
grab a
grab a
mic.
microphone, then you're looking at the same thing that we are.
There you go.
Sorry about that. It'll just make it a little bit easier for me if I can
Nope.
see what I'm talking about here, okay?
We can hear you and see you, so go at it.
So again, this is our FY26 capital needs. Next slide, please. So the 4 items that we're looking that are in need of replacement: 1989 Mack dump truck, which has been converted and is no longer an all-season truck. It simply has a sanding body on it currently, so it's only able to be utilized in the winter months. A 2012 Ford F550 one-ton dump truck. This is a one-ton dump truck that gets used every day of the week. 2014 Ford F350 pickup truck, again, a vehicle that gets used every week. And a vehicle lift, it's a mechanic's lift for maintenance and repairs on equipment. Next slide, please. So the 1989 Mack, this is currently where it sits. It's out of service right now, sitting in the yard. Okay, so this was up until last winter, a piece of equipment that was operational every storm, out every storm, and we've been doing our darndest to keep this machine up and running. It's currently been out of service since the end of last winter. We are still attempting to see if we can get some repairs so that we can get it back up operational to try to get us through the winter as a backup emergency piece of equipment this year. I'm hoping we can do that over the next couple of weeks. Frankly, the truck's in extremely tough shape.
So you have
You
to
can-
snowplow the snowplow that can't snowplow.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. You can see that we have the sander body off of the truck right now because the chains and all the linkage inside the sander body had gone. In order to replace all of that, we had to take the body off of it. It had significant air leaks. The air system would not hold air. We had to basically remanufacture the air system for the brake system. It had 2 separate air tanks on it. One of them was a lot smaller, and due to the age of the truck, we couldn't find the proper equipment, so our current mechanics were able to make something work. So we were able to do that, and then shortly after that, the sander body, we started having issues with the sander body. There are many more issues than that, and I'll get to that in a couple of slides. Next slides, please. So here you can see a couple of pictures, okay. Upper left-hand side is just another picture showing you what this truck would look like driving down the road. Obviously, it's covered in snow right now. Right-hand picture, so this is part of the air brake system, which is mounted to the frame. You can see all the rot and deterioration on the framework. The air system, those hoses are extremely brittle right now. Everything really should be replaced. Picture on the bottom, here's another picture of the frame from a different angle, showing you some hydraulic hoses where the fittings, the hoses themselves are extremely dry rotted. All the fittings are corroded to the point where everything's on the verge of failure. Next slide, please. So that is 1989 Mack dump truck. Again, this vehicle is presently out of service. We are hoping that we can get it back up to utilize as an emergency piece in case we lose other pieces of equipment this winter within the next couple of weeks. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. Currently, the repairs that are needed include the following, and this does not cover every single repair that's needed. The steering system needs to be rebuilt in its entirety. The transmission needs to get rebuilt. There's extreme issues with the transmission. The clutch needs to be rebuilt. The majority of all the hydraulic lines, fittings, and valves for the truck needs to be replaced. The pistons for every aspect of the truck needs to be rebuilt or replaced, including the plow pistons. Realistically, if we were going to try to keep this truck and put it back into service and do a complete rebuild, you'd be looking to put a new dump body on it. You'd need a new piston for that. The windshield wiper system, so currently it's an air windshield wiper system. I don't know if you're familiar with these at all, Forrest. Okay, so air systems, the air system needs to be hot. We don't get much hot weather in January and February. So the majority of the time when this truck is out on the road, it takes 2 to 3 hours of this truck running before that air system can get create enough heat where the windshield wipers will consistently work. Otherwise, you get one pass, and then you have to shut the system off, turn it back on, and you get another pass. That's not safe to do while you're attempting to move snow in the winter months here in the roads of Paxton. Needs extensive cab work.
Travis, has that always been that way?
It's always been an air system. Yep.
Always. It's just that
Yep.
it heated up quicker so that it worked.
Yeah. So and if you have no air leaks, it works.
All right.
So there's many factors that
No,
go
right,
into
right.
it. Okay. To try to utilize it, to try to find every single air leak in any sort of air system. I don't know how familiar you are with those types of systems, Neil, but it's extremely difficult to do.
Okay.
Extensive cab work to the point where the driver's side floor, you can stick your foot through the floor right now. We need to rebuild that floor. Realistically, the entire cab should be replaced. The plow wing mounts have rotted off to the point, when I say wing mounts, what is actually holding the wing plow onto the frame of the truck behind the cab is rotted to the point of failure or near to failure at this point in time. The truck frame itself is a double rail frame. Because it's a double rail frame and the amount of salt that our trucks see, the salt gets between the two sections of frame. Even when you wash them, you clean them, you create a liquid brine that gets between these two sections of frame. The frame is extremely rotted out, so in all reality, if we were going to attempt to keep this truck, everything should be stripped off of it, and the frame should be replaced. Additionally, as I stated, currently it's only a one-season truck. We only have a sander body on it because the dump body of this truck had rotted out years ago, so they attempted to save it and keep it running as long as they could, and they put just a sander body on it. Ideally, if we were attempting to do anything other than replace this, you'd be looking at putting a new all-season dump body on it. If you were looking for something that's not going to rot out, you'd be looking at stainless steel for an all-season dump body to the tune of around $30,000 just for the dump body.
Travis, the number you have up there, 291
Correct.
and change, is that an old number plus 5%, or?
I would say at a minimum 5%. Yep.
So
this
that's
was-
not,
That 291 was the quote that we provided you folks in FY '24.
Okay.
Okay, so we received that quote back in October of '23.
So if you went forward with this and we needed a better quote, that could be higher?
And I would expect it to be higher. Yep. I would expect between 5 and 10% higher than that.
Okay.
Travis, how's the engine in this?
The engine runs.
So there's one good piece here.
It's got a lot of leaks. It really should probably be gone through. But it starts, it runs. That's as much as I can tell you right at this moment.
Okay. I didn't see it on the list.
Yep.
So Travis, a conventional question and an unconventional one. What
sure.
about new versus used?
Yeah, so, again, I have no qualms with purchasing used equipment. The problem is finding used equipment that a distributor is going to hold while you folks deliberate, and then we go to town meeting, it gets approved, and we're looking at a purchase in July. For a dealership, and Forrest, maybe you can talk about this a little bit, for somebody to say, okay, we'll sell it to you in February, but you're not going to pay for it till July or August for used equipment, is that going to happen? So I would personally have no qualms going used. I think if we were to look at something of that nature, we would basically be saying to the town, well, you would have to say, here, you have X number of dollars you can spend to purchase a used piece of equipment. What I do find as where I think we might find some issues with that is if it's already set up for winter, depending on the age of the equipment you're looking at, most likely you're looking at buying something from another town somewheres or from Mass Highway. It's seen the same amount, if not more abuse than what our equipment sees due to winter weather, salt. If they're using calcium, a liquid calcium, that's even more corrosive than the granulated salt that we're using. So, you know, used, I have no problem with. Just keep in mind that there's a good chance we're going to see issues arise a little quicker.
Okay, so the second question is, if I'm not mistaken, this is taking at the top of the slide, a 1989 Mack truck that's been with us for 35 years.
Yep.
And the number that you have there, forgetting new, used, forgetting that the number could go a little higher for a moment.
Yep.
But that's for a Freightliner.
That would be for a Freightliner, very similar to the M2 that you folks had approved several years ago.
So the question I have is, if the Mack has served us so well for 35 years,
Yep.
and in my words, not yours, the jury is still out on the Freightliner.
Absolutely.
Why wouldn't we go Mack truck to Mack truck?
So we do have a couple of newer Mack trucks, one of them being the 10-wheeler that the town owns, was purchased in 2010. We've had a lot of issues with that truck since it's been purchased. Over the last 5 years, we've put something in the tune of like 60,000 into that truck. We have a couple of newer Macks. We've had some issues with them. Macks changed their transmissions. They've changed their engines. Personally, I have no qualms going with a Mack, a Peterbilt, a Freightliner. To me, it doesn't matter. As long as the equipment runs, operates, that's what we're looking for, right? So I personally don't care what the make or model was. The Freightliner that we get quoted for was the cheaper of the quotes that we could find versus a Mack of the similar size or a Peterbilt of a similar size.
All right. Just
At that time. This was a year and a half ago now, almost.
Has your experience been with the Freightliner?
The truck itself has been good. We've had some issues with the upfitting that we got done with it through the company that did it, and that I'm not overly crazy about, so we would probably be looking at a different upfitter if we were ever to go back and rebuild. But the truck itself
It's good.
is a great truck.
Okay.
okay. But again, it's only a year and a half old.
Correct.
So, you know, everything a year and a half old is great. Oh, excuse me, except for your lyric.
Right.
That was just a little shot. Travis, one of the things we've been provided by the other department heads is a list of all equipment in age and whatever. So
Sure.
is that in any of these slides here? Everything that's,
I do not have that.
all right, so can you just kind of give us a rundown? How many dump trucks or Sanders or what, all-season vehicles do we have?
Sure. So currently we have a 10-wheel Mack dump truck, which right now is also out of service.
What year?
It's a 2010.
Okay.
We have the 2014 Mack dump truck, which is a six-wheeler. The Freightliner, which was, I forget the year of it, a 2021 or 22. Those are our three large trucks besides this. On top of that, we also have a catch
Well, but
basin.
yes, but this is off the road. You're not using this. So this is just sitting there as a lawn ornament or scrap metal.
Today it is, yep.
Okay.
If all our other trucks fail and we can get this up and running, we're gonna put it back out on the road. Because we've been having failures with 2 to 3 pieces of equipment every time we've been going out.
All right, so I want to touch then, let me interrupt again, and I hate to be this person.
Sure.
But I'm going to ask the question.
Sure.
Why are we having so many problems?
With what?
The equipment.
Age, the.
What about maintenance? What about repairs? What, standard, maintenance kind of stuff, overhauls, cleanings, washings, whatever.
The maintenance gets done regularly, Neil.
What does that mean, though? Oil changes, tire rotations, brakes, I mean,
Yes.
just,
Yep. As far as washing equipment goes, we do the best job that we can. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna send my staff out at 4 below zero to wash trucks outdoors, okay?
No,
So, yes, we do go out, we clean the trucks in the winter months to the best of our ability, but I can't rightfully do it sometimes when we're having such cold conditions as we've been having lately.
okay. Question, Chief. I'm going to bring you into the loop here, because there's a lot of stuff going in play here. With the new building we're sitting in here, you have some sort of drain system in the floor, heated and whatever, correct? I mean, and you wash your apparatus on a regular basis.
Yeah, we limit it. We have a holding tank out back.
Okay, how much does it hold, and when you wash a truck, roughly, how much do we collect? I'm not, does it take 200 gallons of water to wash a truck, or 500
Well,
gallons?
I couldn't tell you exactly what it takes. It varies from person to person, washing
Okay,
the
yeah.
truck. But I will tell you, I have to have that holding tank pumped out twice a year.
A year.
It's a 4,000-gallon tank.
Okay, so just as,
It's
'cause we're-
considered hazardous material, correct?
it is, no, because it's
Yep.
got road salt, no, it
Yeah,
does,
road
so, but
salt,
wait a
oil.
second now, because we're all on the same team here.
Yep.
So if tomorrow was a nice day, let's say above 32 degrees, is it possible to ask that maybe the DPW could come over here and wash their trucks in your bays and then just drive them back? In other words, pull a truck out in the yard, put a yellow truck in in a red place, give it a quick rinse, whatever, down the drain to the holding tank, and I'm looking at going forward, not what we haven't done. I'm looking to try to prolong.
Yeah, in what we do, so like today, we wash the trucks outside. It's 24 degrees out.
Right. I drove by, I saw one of the trucks.
Yeah. They came back from a structure fire and they washed it outside just to keep it out of the drain. So whenever it's nice out, we try to put it outside, just
Okay.
because that catch basin setup outside is easier than the holding tank.
Okay.
Takes it inside. But yeah, it really isn't an issue if we had to come down to that. Yeah.
And our staff are doing the same thing, Neil. If we're above 20 degrees, 15 degrees sometimes, our staff's outside washing the stuff.
Where's your wastewater going?
Into a catch basin, which is set in the ground, and has some sort of filtration system underground.
Okay. All right, I'll thank you. I'll let that go for a while. Let's, so you've got 3 10-wheel dump trucks and one
We have
lawn ornament.
one
So,
10-wheel dump
hold-
truck,
hold-
two
hold-
six.
Let me interrupt. I think giving us the list verbally is not going to work.
Okay, so can we
Yeah,
ask?
so-
And I did provide you a list, I thought.
Yeah, hold on, guys. So Heather and I have worked in terms of, we're going to have the lists for principally fire, which has already given it to us, which is, I dare say, the model of what we want to have.
Winter.
Police is going to adopt theirs to follow that, and Heather and I are working on yours. We'll have that for next week.
Thank you.
I think verbalizing what you have for a fleet, we'd all lose each other, so.
All right.
Good question, good ask,
All right.
it's coming.
All right,
So.
thank you.
go ahead.
Carry on.
And I had provided it,
Okay.
to the best of our ability,
All
what
right,
we
that's
have,
fine.
just so you
Right.
know, okay?
So we're looking at
So
315,000.
this is the estimated cost of what we were provided for last year. Next slide, please. Did we lose her?
Oh, no.
Nope, there she is. Okay, so this is the 2012 Ford F-550. Again, this truck was purchased in 2012. This is an everyday truck that gets utilized all the time. There's significant rot in both the cab, the body. This truck is currently on its third motor. The truck has been caught fire once inside the cab, and when it was at a dealer, the truck has seen quite a bit of abuse over the years. Next slide, please. So here's some pictures of what we're looking at for body rot, okay? Upper left-hand corner, you can see this is the top of the dump body. In the far left-hand side, there's significant rust and rot to the point where there's holes through the body. Same thing on the right-hand side. The picture, upper right-hand side, you can see these were brick doors at one point in time. There was a latch that's internal inside the door that had rotted off, and it ended up having to be welded on the right-hand side, on both sides. Basically, the doors were welded back up to the dump body. I personally would never buy another brick dump body for this department, as we've had nothing but issues with them. Picture in the lower side here, this is showing the latch that holds the tailgate onto the body. Again, you can see significant rot and rust to the point where the handle of the dump body tailgate has been torn off. These trucks see salt every day in the winter months whenever we're having weather. Okay, so we had snow the other day. We were out treating 3 days after that still. It's not just during the storm. We're out twice a day, the next day, once the following day after that most of the time. So even though it's a mild winter thus far, our staff have been out a lot treating roads. These trucks see a lot of salt. We do the best we can to wash them off. So in this picture, obviously, clearly you can see the salt that's sitting on the truck. We utilized it. We were out the night before treating with it. Yesterday, we had a water main break. We yanked the sander out of it. Never had the chance to get to washing the truck yesterday, and it ended up using it on the water main break. As you can see in the picture in the upper left-hand corner, the dirt's still frozen in the dump body. So again, these trucks are getting utilized every day for numerous items, not just plowing and treating roads. They're used at every dig we do. They're hauling asphalt. We utilize them every day. Next slide, please. This 2012 Ford F-550, the repairs needed include replacing the rocker panels. The running boards of the truck have literally rotted off the bottom of the cab. The passenger side window track system needs to be replaced. Out during a storm last year, had a tree come down, hit the side of the cab. It folded the door in a little bit and bent the tracking system of the window. So that passenger side window can't go up. If you bring the window all the way down, you literally have to pull it up halfway before you can roll it up the rest of the way because it gets out of the track. The driver's seat needs to be replaced. The handles on the mechanisms to move the seat are broken to the point beyond repair. The wheel wells have been rotted out and have fender flares over them in order to cover up the rust, basically. That we treated them the best we could. We tried to block the salt from getting back on them after they redid them. The cab has significant rot, and in all reality, the entire cab should be replaced. The dump body, significant rot. The dump body needs to be replaced. The plow setup also needs to be replaced as it has significant damage. Again, we're constantly rebuilding, repairing all these items for every one of these trucks to the best of our ability. There's just not enough manpower and money to do it. The sander needs to be replaced. The sander, again, is 2012. We've had significant issues with it, and it's failing on us. The frame on this truck is bent to the point where if you're driving behind it, you can literally see the truck driving at a slight angle going down the road. This is what we deal with, so we continue to try to deal with it to the best of our ability.
Travis, this is 13 years old.
Yep.
What's the normal average life expectancy?
Of a one-ton dump truck, I would expect 10 years if you're lucky. Yep.
Yeah.
For the amount of abuse that these trucks take doing the job that we do, I think you're lucky to get 10 years.
Travis, you said you've replaced the motor the engine.
It's on
3
its
times?
third motor right now.
Is that typical?
Nope, so I'm not certain what happened the first time it was replaced. The last time it was replaced, it was during an ice storm 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. Our staff were out trying to maintain the roads and get the tree limbs out of the roads. A tree limb fell down behind this truck as it was backing up. That my staff member that was driving it at the time didn't know the limb was in the road. And he backed over it. It wiped the oil filter off the bottom of the motor. By the time he
Okay, so.
by the time he got the truck shut down,
Yeah.
the motor was junk.
It wasn't-
And that's when it got sent to Lamro to get rebuilt. And I'm sorry, it got sent to the dealer to get rebuilt. and there was a fire inside the cab at that time.
Okay, so it wasn't just wear and tear, premature failure, there was circumstances.
No, and most of the time it is,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
So, like I said, the window tracking system, it was tree debris, okay? These trucks aren't just sitting in the garage as my truck would be at home during an ice storm. They're out. My staffs have chainsaws or whatnot, and we're out trying to clear the roads, so that residents, fire, EMS, and police can do what they need to do.
Right, yeah.
Any questions on this truck? Next slide, please. 2014 Ford F-350. Next slide, please. Actually, hold on one moment. So, could you go back, Heather? Sorry about that. Just to point out, you can see the side step. The other back?
We're going
Going forward.
Going the wire on there.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. I'm just getting to like me again.
No wonder it has dents. You put it in forward when you should have put it in reverse.
No, forward and reverse. On one version, every time I clicked, it went forward.
So you can see the side step on this truck. If you look closely, it's been shattered off during the last big storm we had. This is typical items that happen to us. We have a limb come down in the road. You don't realize it because it's 2 a.m, or it comes down and hits the truck. These types of things happen to our department and our equipment regularly. Next slide, please. So this truck is the pickup truck, gets used daily on pretty much every job site we have. This is the truck that the foreman utilizes regularly. So this truck has an older plow system on it. It's actually, I think we carried over from a past truck. We've had significant issues with this plow system. You can see in the left-hand side, there's exposed wiring there. That wiring harness is actually held on by zip ties. The picture in the back on the upper right-hand side, you can see that they're starting to get some rot in the cab corners. Picture on the bottom in the center, you can see this is the cab mount. The side step. You can see that I don't know if you can. I just want to point it out here. This section right here, that's the arm that holds the side step on. It's rotted and coming off. So this picture was taken this morning before our staff was out washing this truck, or was supposed to be getting washed today. I'm assuming it did. Any questions on, next slide, please, Heather. So this truck, these are the repairs that are needed. The suspension system needs to be replaced. The bed is rotted and needs.
Time out. We can read that. I don't see any dollar signs attached to the needed repairs for this vehicle, the previous one, or the one behind that. I see the price for the new truck, but I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around, if we spend 30 grand versus 75.
Okay, so for this particular truck, the estimated cost that my mechanic is telling me to order the parts,
Yeah.
we're looking at about $33,000.
Okay, that's the number that I can read all that stuff. I think it's well documented, but again, in my mind, I'm trying to figure out where we're going. But we're putting that into a 11-year-old truck.
Correct.
All right, so 33 into 11 versus 75 for a 2025.
Correct.
Okay. Can we go on? Next truck.
Is this a gas or a diesel?
Diesel. So the town does not,
All your trucks are diesel?
Because they.
all of our trucks for the highway department are diesel because the town does not own a
Right, I know.
fuel tank that can store gasoline.
Got it.
And Travis, is that with a plow setup?
That's with the plow setup.
Okay. Next.
Next slide, please. Oh, the last item that we're looking for is a vehicle lift. So the lift that is currently in the shop is a 2000, I don't want to, I want to make certain that I'm giving you the proper age. It's a 1999, the vehicle lift that's in there now, and I actually believe the town purchased it used, from what my understanding is. It's a 10,000-pound lift. This lift has failed. The pistons have failed in it. The cost to repair the issues that are going on with this list right now, I'm being told, are upwards of around $10,000. Okay, so the quote that we got for a replacement lift, which would be a 12,000-pound lift, is, as you see here, $16,007.24.
All right, I also noticed you went from 10,000 to 12,000, so that can only pick up the pickup trucks.
So the 10,000-pound lift that we did have in the shop could only pick up the pickup trucks.
All right, so what does 2,000 pounds gain us?
We can then lift the 1-ton dump trucks.
Okay, what do we do with the 6-wheeler and 10-wheeler trucks?
Uh,
We crawl under them on a,
Currently, we're crawling under them. Yep.
okay.
Yep.
And that allows you access to whatever you need to do to,
We do the best we can.
Okay.
Yeah, Neil, I would love to have a large lift that we can put all of our equipment on.
Okay.
Our biggest problem is that we don't have the storage capacity to put a lift like that in there.
or the height in the building to get something up off the floor.
Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, so this would utilize pickups, 1-ton dump trucks, any small vehicles for us, as well as police and fire department when they do their maintenance.
So, Travis, that's a good segue to my question. In your narrative, you said that the $10,000 one, let me stick with that.
10,000 pound.
10,000 pound, yeah, sorry. Basically, pickup trucks and SUVs.
Correct.
There's a lot of pickup trucks and SUVs in the town fleet of vehicles, and you went on to say you do it for DPW, police, and fire.
Yep, so
So
fire
that-
does a lot of their own maintenance work. We have done some maintenance work for the police department when we've had the time to do it. As of late, we haven't had the time to do it.
Do you do any of this for the light department or the water department?
For the water department as well, not the light department.
Okay, so essentially you do a lot for DPW, but some for 3 other departments.
Yes,
Can-
or the other departments are utilizing that piece.
Can they share in the cost of this?
I'm certain that we could attempt to speak with the other boards and other department heads to do that.
So you want to break it up 4 ways instead of 1 way?
Yeah.
Prorated, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just, okay. It's a great suggestion.
We have also been looking at
Look,
another.
Mike's smiling, he's ready to go, he's put up his 25%.
We have
Well, that's
also.
why I'm here too, for this.
We have also been looking at another option for a lift just recently. And my mechanic got a verbal quote, which was a little bit less money than this. I didn't want to provide it to you today because I didn't have anything in writing. It is a 4-post lift that you'd be able to drive the vehicles up on, also a 12,000-pound lift. But it was a little less money. We also have to make certain that we have the room in our bay that we would utilize for this to fit that in, and we didn't have the time to do that.
So my point is that that's the smallest number we've seen in all your slides this evening.
No,
You've-
tonight, yeah.
You've demonstrated to us the need. So to Neil's point, I'd rather that CIPC not have to find a way to come up with 16,000. If we can spread it around and CIPC doesn't have to come up with anything, and you get a new lift, because if police, if water, if fire, if DPW all came to the table, we got a new lift, and CIPC can move on to some other bigger items. That was the nature of the question.
Fair enough.
So,
I will speak with the other department heads, and I will speak with the Board of Water Commissioners, and we'll go from there.
you recall you needed a rider mower.
Yep.
And, recreation and the cemetery got a lot of use of it, and you went out to them, and they came back, and all of a sudden, we had a lawnmower that CIPC didn't have to worry about. So that's a suggestion, that's not a criticism or other observation, anything that any of us can do together to get you what you need, but to spread the cost. I don't want to say the wealth, but the cost a little bit. That's the
All right.
motivation.
Forrest, 2 posts versus 4 posts. What do you have at the station? One of each?
No, I have the drive-on with roller jacks, and then I have the 2 posts.
2 posts, okay.
The 2 posts I find is more versatile.
Okay. I'm just asking for another opinion versus somebody go out and getting a quote and say, here's our, this is what we recommend. What I just, if there's, you know.
And I'm not a mechanic, I just want to express that,
Okay.
right? I have some mechanical ability, and I assist doing some mechanic work. I don't claim to be a
Okay.
mechanic. This is the information that I'm being provided to by our mechanics.
Okay.
So,
What are they doing in the meantime with this is down?
we're doing everything we can. We're putting it on jacks, we're using blocking up on the frames. We're doing what we can when we have to, okay? As a mechanic yourself, you know how much
that's-
more difficult that
that's-
makes life.
And unsafe.
Yep. So,
What's the ETA, what's the turnaround time if you ordered one?
the lift,
Yeah.
I'm not certain. To be honest with you, I'm not certain.
That
I
I
would
could-
have to ask that.
So I'm going to
That's-
keep pressing. Is it 2 weeks or is it 9 months?
I'm
No,
not
I
certain.
would say 2 weeks.
I'm not
Okay.
certain, so I would have to reach out to the company and get
Yeah,
that information.
Okay. So I like Forrest's answer.
And are there other manufacturers of a 2-post lift, or is there only one? I'm just,
No, there's several.
all right, so,
So there's multiple. This company was the information that my mechanic provided me, stating
Okay.
that this was the most reasonable he could find to meet our needs.
all right, is there a perception of one better than the other, I guess is what, you know, we have Ford Chevy Dodge, or Ram, Ford Chevy Ram.
Well, what you would stay away from is the China-made.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm just saying in terms of if we're looking, okay.
Yep.
This isn't the China-made one, is it?
No.
Okay, good.
You get it now before Trump puts the tariffs on them.
Let's
My
not
God,
get-
that 16 will become 20.
Let's not get political here.
All right,
Next slide, please.
I can talk about that now.
So just to recap, the total replacement cost for a 1989 Mac, you're looking somewhere around $300,000. Replacement cost for a 2012 Ford F550 one-ton dump truck with plow setup and sander. The 89 Mac replacement would also be with a multi-use sander body with a plow setup. That would be the 4x4 Freightliner M2 that we had quoted. Again, I wouldn't be opposed to purchasing used if we were allotted funding to be able to locate something. 2014 Ford F350 pickup truck for a replacement cost of around $74,000. That would be with a plow setup. The vehicle lift replacement around $16,100. Next slide, please. So that is everything, every ounce of information I have for you at this moment in time. Are there any further questions?
There are.
Perfect.
How are we staffing? Where do we stand right now?
We're fully
'Cause
staffed.
We've heard about, well, we're almost at full staff from some of the other departments. We are at full staff, or
Yep,
we're at full
we're
staff.
fully staffed right now.
So that means we have enough drivers, we have enough mechanics, we have enough of everything.
What we don't have is enough operable equipment.
All right, okay.
So this past storm, we had our Max 10-wheel dump truck slid off the road. The wing plow dug into the edge of the road. It caved the passenger side of the cabin. Did significant damage to the wing. That truck is out of service right now.
What do we do for driver training?
Excuse me?
Driver training, in other words, you put, if I have a CDL and I come to you and say I need a job, you say, okay, well, how do you know I can operate
Sure.
whatever you put me in, whether it be
so
a one-ton, a pickup, or a...
We do some in-house driver training. Yep,
Okay, but
we
there's
go
no
around with our
state
staff.
certified classes? I'm just asking. These are all just...
Well, it's mandated currently that if you, in order to receive a CDL license, you have to take a mandated CDL class.
But CDL has a lot of things. I mean, construction workers are different than over-the-road haulers, when they both have CDLs, versus an ambulance driver. Do they have CDLs?
An EMT?
And, okay, but do they...
No. No, there's only
All
a
right.
couple of us that have CDLs on it.
Okay, but you see, it's different to drive a fire truck than
Yeah.
to drive a plow truck versus an over-the-road versus a whatever. So
Sure.
that's why I'm wondering, is there different types of training?
So we do in-house training. We also do training sessions through Bay State Roads.
Okay, so, okay.
And our insurance company, Maya, also offers, they bring a simulator down every few
For the
years.
fire department or for the town?
For the entire.
For us as
Okay.
well. We
All right,
did that
okay.
last year as well.
Yep.
All right, okay.
So every operator that we have gets time in that simulator. We sit through a training class, same as,
Okay, I'm just curious about this, as I said, because we got a lot of different vehicles in town that are on the roads, and I think you would have to possess a different set of skills to drive that.
absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely. Plowing with a pickup truck is much different than plowing with a backhoe, is much different than plowing with a 10-wheeler with a plow and a
There
wing
you go.
plow on it,
There- okay.
okay?
All right.
So, yep.
I mean, because when you tell me stories that the side wing skidded off the road and dug into the corner and then damaged the truck, to me, is that an operator issue or is that a road condition issue?
It's a road condition issue. So we had extremely
Because-
slippery roads the other night. This particular incident happened at the intersection of Black Hill and Nanigan when he was coming to the stop
Okay,
sign.
so is that an insurance repairable?
So
situation? I
we
mean-
have submitted the claim to the
Okay,
insurance.
I mean, that's,
Yep.
I'm just, we're hearing about these
Yep.
things, but I look at, I don't hear any explanation as to how we're resolving the situation that has transpired, that's all. So if we have
So-
insurance coverages, that helps.
Yep, so, and I was just trying to make a point to you folks that each and every storm, we have equipment fail. So that was one of 3 pieces of equipment that went down on us the other night in that storm. We had another 1 ton that the plow stopped working on us. We could only turn the plow one way.
All left-hand turns.
And that's exactly what happened. So our staff was cleaning up the end of a cul-de-sac, turned the plow to the left, and it wouldn't come back. We had to put that truck out of service for the night. He's still working on that, trying to figure that out. These types of issues happen to us almost every single storm. We're blowing hydraulic lines. We have issues. We have limbs come down, damage the equipment, okay? It's not all due to neglect or negligence. The majority of it is due to natural causes from the storm. We're out in really bad conditions. Our staff haven't slept most of the time in 24, 36 hours, sometimes longer. Okay, it becomes extremely dangerous for our staff when we're doing that, especially in the conditions we're doing it in. We don't have staff that works 24/7. We don't have 3 shifts. We have staff that works continuously until the job's done, no matter what the task is. And we do the best we can with what we have.
Good enough. Any further questions?
I do, I have another, I'm gonna ask a lot of questions.
Is there a wait
Gee.
time on these vehicles?
I'm not certain, to be honest with you. Last year, when we had got the quote for the Freightliner, we were about a year and a half out.
Right.
Okay, so even if it was approved today, we'd be looking at a year and a half before we could get this truck built. At a minimum, I'm assuming.
As
So
we-
I like your idea of if you had a pot of money and you could go out and
Right.
find good used equipment. We used to do that in the town I lived in New Jersey. And a lot of times the dealers are desperate to get rid of the equipment, so you have huge negotiating power. But you have to have the money, and you've got they know that the money is coming from the town, and it's good for it, so.
Right.
That's the
That's-
biggest thing. Yeah,
Yep.
again, I'm not opposed
I'm
to
a
you
huge-
buying
we-
used.
We bought trucks, pennies on the dollar,
Yep.
you know?
I have no
Really-
qualm with
really
that
good plow
personally.
trucks, yep.
Because there's a lot of good used equipment out
Yep.
there. You just have to know what you're looking for.
Yep, yeah, you have to have that expertise to
Yep.
know what's junk and what's really good, so.
Yep.
Yep.
Just to follow up on that, I mean, we sit here as capital improvement planning. Is there a capital plan in place in the DPW? I mean, the police department gave us a schedule of requests or wishes, or however you want to look at it, for the next, whatever, 5 years, 7 years. Fire department has given us an estimate of needs coming down the pipe in terms of this is coming up for replacement, or this is coming up for recycling, or whatever. Where do we stand with the DPW?
So we would be going off the capital plan that was that was created a few years back.
But when does it get updated? In other words, things happen, this is a moving document, or
Sure.
a living document.
Yep.
If things go awry, when you have a if we had a blizzard of 78 hit and everything went out of commission at one point, what do we do? So that's what I'm saying. Do you update the plan on a semi-annual basis or annual basis?
I will do the best I can do, Neil, with the time that we're allotted, sir. Okay, so I do not have anything in writing currently today, right now,
Okay.
with a plan of everything that needs to be replaced. We have pieces of equipment that were on the capital replacement plan 4 or 5 years ago that weren't replaced, that still haven't been replaced, that we repaired and we're not bringing to capital, okay? So there were several pieces of equipment that were supposed to have been replaced according to the plan a couple of years ago, that weren't. There was no money. We did whatever we could to keep it going, and we're still doing that to those pieces of equipment.
Okay, I understand that, and I'm not like calling you out. That's not what this is about. We're looking for a department plan so that we can kind of look ahead as things, I mean, we had the one from the school, that got things out to 2031. They're looking for a new roof on the school, so we have to find a way somehow to fit that in at some point. I don't know when.
Sure.
But I'm more concerned that you seem to have to be putting Band-Aids on everything because you're not getting what you feel you need.
Correct.
So maybe we can help you with that need if we saw a plan that would take place over the next 3, 4, 5 years. Instead of you say, I was here 2 years ago, you didn't give me anything, now I'm back with the same stuff and I need a new lift.
I will do my best to put that together then, sir. Unfortunately, right now, it's myself and one other person in our office, and we're always 6 months backlog. We're not just running one department, we're really running 5 departments, okay? We do the best we can to maintain.
What's 5, what's 5, just help, you gotta enlighten me, help me.
Okay, so we have the highway department.
Right.
The water department.
Right.
Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
The cemetery.
Okay.
And all the stormwater stuff right now. The stormwater stuff, it is another department. Whether we have it currently separated, that's enough work for a whole separate department. We're doing the best we can to maintain and keep in compliance with all the federal and state requirements that are made of us for said departments. So I will do my best to put something together like that for you folks. I truly will.
All right.
We're extremely limited on time, and we do the best we can with every day that we have.
Okay.
So let me ask that we hit the pause button on this, and Heather, jump in if I'm out of place here, but the points that you've raised, Neil, are good ones, and not everything happens at every single meeting.
No, understood that.
I've had communications with Heather where we're thinking of a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan, not just for DPW, but for all departments, number one. We're revisiting the debt schedule, which is going to be part of our discussion, I'm sure, that comes into play next week. We're trying to uniform and standardize the inventory list of vehicles. This was the first year that we asked for them. We got them back. Unfortunately, we got them in 3 different sizes and shapes and manners. We're trying to standardize that. So I think a lot of your questions will play out in a future meeting or so. We decided we were going to focus on what are the asks in front of us for FY26 right now. You've raised really good points, really good questions. It's coming, I guess is what I would say.
All right.
In the asset list that we did provide you with, I apologize, it didn't meet every request that you were looking for, but that's what we did already have that me and my staff
it was
were
good
able to
enough.
put together previously and that we had been maintaining to date to the best of our
I
ability.
think when I made mention of it, I said the responses were quick, and that was because most departments had them. The problem is, they came in 3 different directions, 3 different styles. Some answered all the questions fully, some 80%, some 40%. We're just going to uniform it
Okay.
and standardize it, and I think it will be something that we'll be able to look out beyond just FY26 and into FY29 and 2 more years beyond that and so on. So good questions. It is coming. don't take that personally, because
No, and-
we want it for all the departments,
You know, again, we try to do the best we can with what we have. You know, in my opinion, the departments are understaffed and underfunded, as I'm sure a majority of your department heads would state.
I don't want to make light of this, but your 10-year plan has been, you've asked for the same truck for 10 years. So,
You know,
so,
and not to make light of that comment, but it's a little disheartening when you come year after year after year and
Yeah.
say, these are the needs, and now here I am 4 years later asking for the same truck and telling you, well, now that truck has failed and out of service.
no.
Okay, I understand you folks can't create the money out of thin air, nor can we. We tell you our needs, you folks attempt to locate a way to fund them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing the best we can as we know that you folks are as well, and we appreciate your time.
We appreciate you did a nice job, and, we appreciate you being open to, David chimed in on the new versus used. We like that idea. We like you collaborating with maybe some other departments on some other items. This was a good meeting. Again, don't take it personally. We have to ask tough questions because we got a tough couple of weeks ahead of ourselves.
Absolutely, and I wouldn't be doing my department's justice if I didn't also bring up the need for a DPW facility, okay? So, I did not put anything up on a slide about it, but I want to make mention that there still is the need for that facility.
Okay.
So because that's
Oh,
not
God.
going to be in the CIPC report in the next couple of weeks, here's what I would suggest. I would love to have a joint meeting of CIPC and the DPW Building Committee.
Okay.
If you think you can quarterback that.
Okay.
Or as the minimum, you come to a future, very near future CIPC meeting, because
There is
we
one-
see the need.
There is one scheduled next week, I think.
Yeah, I believe it was either supposed to be this week or next week.
yeah.
So we will be getting a DPW building committee meeting together in the very near future, and I'll speak with the committee at that time.
Because I think we have a lot to say. I don't even think we have very many questions. I think we have a lot to say regarding that. And one of them is, nobody has to speak about the need for the building anymore. That is in the tank. Everybody has total buy-in. What we need to think about is design and cost.
I don't disagree.
So,
Okay.
And just for note, my UTV plow failed this last storm too, so I'm with you on equipment fails.
Any further questions, comments,
Nope, no,
concerns?
thank you,
We're good,
Travis.
thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
All right.
So on our agenda, I just want to confirm that our plan has been, and the budget calendar has said that we're meeting next week.
Correct.
I formally, I don't think we're going to be inviting any guests to be before us. I think we're going to be discussing the projects that are before us amongst ourselves, rank them, vote on them, and decide what we're going to do. In the week of that interim, gentlemen, we may reach out to you with a clarification or a question that I may do myself on behalf of the committee, so that we'll have it when we talk next week. So with that, old business, new business, public comments?
Motion to adjourn. How's that?
Is there a motion to adjourn? One's been made.
And a
Is there
second. There you go.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Got to
Hearing
call the roll.
none.
You got to call the roll.
Heather?
Yep.
Forrest?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Neil?
Yes.
Mark, yes.
Okay. We are
No opposition,
adjourned.
we stand adjourned. Thank you.
All right.